page, cause I'd already loaded, this was loaded at home.
There you go. To Disney, my son thinks that, oh, he just goes to a family.
Yeah, I come on.
We,
Not the
I
case.
don't have a great signal,
I
but
was
I
like,
think I'm
oh,
on it.
we're gonna have to wait before we go back.
I
I had
would
his
be
red
totally
truck,
fine to never go back to
and I was out there trying to park his truck in
Universal
one of those little.
Studios, Disneyland World.
Not your favorite?
I say it's the
That was funny,
happiest
Karen was
place
out
on
there
earth.
laughing at me, 'cause I
Collectively,
could not get that
in that square
straight.
acreage, how many crying kids there are? It is the happiest place on earth. All those kids
Yeah,
waiting
I'm on the
along
internet here.
and crying and carrying along.
Yeah, he was spoiled. The workers like knew him. They'd be like, oh, Queen, you're back. Do you want to go to the front of the line?
I just put
At
it
the
over
front
to
of
a
the
PDF.
roller
and
coaster,
I'll
like-
never have to read it.
It was just the lightning lane. He just
I
couldn't.
always had so many problems.
Are we ready, Mike? Okay.
Yeah, so he's never gonna be satisfied again.
I'd like to welcome you to our Planning Commission meeting today, June 24th, 2025. We will begin our meeting today with Commissioner Thompson giving us an invocation, and then I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our dear Heavenly Father, as we come before this on this beautiful day, we're so grateful for our many blessings. We're grateful for the opportunity we have to live in this beautiful state and especially in this beautiful city. We're so grateful as members of the Planning Commission to be able to serve the members of our community. We ask now that as we go forward this meeting that we may make wise choices for the betterment of the community. We're thankful for our country, and we ask you to bless our servicemen that may be in harm's way at this time, and bless the innocent people who may also be impacted. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand to repeat the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll begin today with an audible roll call of the commissioners. Sharon Call.
Here,
Mike Marchbanks. Here. Rob Callis.
Here.
Steve Johnson. Here. Scott Thompson.
Here.
Jared Showers.
Here.
Karen Danielson.
Here.
Thank you. The next item number 2 on our agenda is approval of our minutes from our last Planning Commission meeting that was held on June 10th. The commissioners have received these beforehand and have had a chance to review them. Are there any corrections or additions that need to be made to those minutes?
Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second it.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved as stands unanimously. Item number 3 on our agenda today is a time for public comment. This is a time for members of the public to address the commission for any items that are not on the agenda. Is there anybody here for that purpose? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item number 4. Item number 4 is a subdivision plat amendment for Plat G in the Lindon Treasury subdivision at 158 West, 110 South. The applicant is Kevin Young. The presenting staff is Mike Florence. And this is administrative, so there's not a public hearing and it doesn't go on to the council. Is there anybody here to represent the applicant? If you'd like to come sit up front, we'd be happy to have you here, and we'll turn the time over to staff to present. If you'd write your name on there, then we can just have it for the record.
Awesome. Thanks, council members. So you've done quite a few of these in the past, but basically the applicant, Kevin Young, owns the 2 lots here on 110 South and is asking to consolidate those into 1 lot. And so we have before you the subdivision plat. You can see here that it now equals 46,000 square feet, so just, over an acre. And then he has some plans to improve the backyard there. So with that, we have just have the normal conditions of approval, that the applicant will continue to work with city engineer to make all final corrections to the subdivision plat. Prior to plat recording, the applicant will update the final plat Mylar to include notarized signatures and obtain signatures of all entities indicated on the subdivision plat attached here too. The plat will meet applicable specifications as found in the Lindon City Development Manual and all items of the staff report. And as we've reviewed this with our city subdivision code, we found that it is in compliance.
Are there any questions from the commission to staff? It looks fairly straightforward, slam
Yep.
dunk to me, but anybody has any more questions, or to the applicant?
It's too bad the applicant isn't here, so you could ask him some basketball questions, but
So,
I would be happy to make a motion.
okay,
I move to approve the applicant's request for plat amendment approval for the Lindon Treasury Plat G subdivision located at 116 South, 200 West, and 237 West, 110 South, with the following conditions. Items 1 through 4 as read by Mr. Mike Florence.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Your motion carried unanimously, and good luck with your plans.
Thank you.
We'll move on to item 5 on the agenda. This is a continuance of the item we had on our agenda last time. It's listed as a public meeting, but I believe we fulfilled that requirement last time.
we did, yes.
Okay, so if we feel a need, I guess we could reopen the public hearing, but we don't necessarily need to. So we will have a, so the Slades, and I see Mrs. Vinkers here too. If they want to come up, if we have questions for them, they could come up front. We now have a draft ordinance that we will review, and so we'll turn the time over to Mike Florence.
Okay. I don't remember who was here last time and who wasn't, but I'll just give a brief overview. So our city code, we have a front yard setback of 30 feet, measured basically 2 feet behind the sidewalk to the front of the home. The code that's before you, that's the current code, 1744090, it allows someone to project an eave over into that front yard setback by 24 inches. Ms. Vinkers would like to add a porch to the front of her home, but our ordinances only restricts you to projecting 24 inches into that front setback. So they made a application with the city asking to be able to project 8 feet into that front setback. The commission considered that last time and came up with some information that I've put in this draft code. So let me go to that real quick. So I took what you had, the recommendation you had was that you recommended a 30% projection into the front setback. So if someone has a 30-foot front yard setback, that would allow them to encroach 10 feet. And then what you, let me just go through these. Number one, letter B says, single-family dwellings in a residential zone may have a front porch that projects into the front yard setback if the following requirements are met. 1, the porch has an entrance facing the street. 2, the porch may project up to 30% of the allowable front yard setback. If the porch includes a roof structure, the roof structure shall be included in the 30% projection allowance. Stairs to the porch shall be included in the allowable projection percentage. The porch may extend up to 25% of the width along the front elevation of the single-family dwelling. We'd had that discussion last time about coming up with a percentage rather than an exact width. 4, the porch shall remain open on 3 sides porch walls are allowed if they are taller than 40 inches as measured from the porch floor. So that would allow, some of these older homes, you'll see that they'll do kind of a brick little wall around the porch, so that would allow for that. Or if they wanted to frame it in, but still open, so we're not creating an enclosed area. And then 6, the portion of the porch within the setback does not include space for any other use such as living or storage space, so it needs to be a porch. A couple things I wanted to talk to you about on this ordinance, I wanted your feedback on. First was that letter B at the very beginning, single-family dwellings in a residential zone. Currently, as I have it written, this would allow it in any zone. So let's say at Ivory Homes, they typically have a 20 to 25-foot setback. So I just want to make sure, you would be okay with someone encroaching, 10 to 30% of that setback if they've got a 20-foot setback. Are you okay with a porch extending there? Or do you want to keep this to just, R112, R120? It makes sense, though, if someone wanted to do one in the Fieldstone development. They have 30-foot setbacks, so I don't think you would see many at Anderson Farms. A lot of them come with little porches anyways.
And it's built within the setback.
Yeah, and so that's just something to consider on that.
Duplexes in Lindon that are in single-family residential and look like a single-family home, so they would not be able to do that.
They would not.
Yeah. My question would be why? I mean, if you had a duplex that they both wanted to do a porch, what would be when they come to us and say we want to do that too, what's going to be our answer? It's just violation of the code, or?
Yeah, we would say no, because how I currently have it written, it says single-family dwellings. If you wanted to change it to residential dwellings, you could.
I question the single-family dwellings too. What's the definition of a single-family dwelling? What if there's an ADU downstairs, or there's?
Well,
Is that still considered a
That's still
single-family dwelling?
considered.
Okay, I wasn't sure
But,
if there's a definition.
I mean, I like what this accomplishes. It accomplishes what she wants to do, which is to keep ice off the stairs, but I also think it could jazz up some homes too, having a nice gable coming out or whatever, instead of a flat front.
Yeah.
So I like that part of this ordinance too, and I would be okay if there's a duplex in my neighborhood that is a duplex. It's a beautiful home, really, but it is a duplex that,
Which one is that, Jared?
that's where James Thompson lives.
Oh, yeah.
The question I'd have on
It's supposed to be a duplex.
Oh, that's a duplex.
on a
But
duplex,
it's rented differently than that.
the limiting factor, I think, would be the 25%. I mean, if you've got a lot of duplexes, the two porches take up more than 25% of the frontage. So that would be somewhat limiting,
okay.
depending.
But we have side-by-side duplexes too, like on
Right.
400 East and 400 North there. So you could have a little covering over this door and a little covering over this door.
As long as the two combined is less than
Less than
25% of the front.
25%, I
And
think.
that's the way the ordinance is written, right? So, I mean, I guess I'm not opposed to letting
Change the
it be,
language
just to
to
residential
Family dwellings.
or residential dwellings, because I think we've addressed the issue with the 25%.
Jared, the one that you're referring to also only has one entrance in the front of the home,
Right,
so there's
It's a-
not two entrances.
correct. I'm not saying that one needs it, I'm just saying that's
No.
that's an example of a really beautiful property. It doesn't look like a duplex, but that
Mike,
might benefit from this ordinance change.
you were saying for Anderson Farms, you brought it up. Is it because you're concerned about it, or is it, okay?
Just want to make sure you're okay with that. So if someone had a 20-foot front yard setback, they would encroach 6 feet, with a small porch, which,
And I think that's what we took into consideration when we did the 30%.
yeah,
The only correction to the maximum right now would be 9 feet with a 30-foot setback.
9 feet, sorry, yep.
But, because that's,
Yeah,
30%
off
of.
30, yeah, thank
We
you.
didn't do 33, so. But other than that, I think. Staff has asked for feedback from the commission. What do you think about changing that line B from single-family dwellings to just residential dwellings?
Residential dwelling is fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so I think just make notes for when we make the motion, maybe to recommend that to the city council, that we change line B to residential dwellings.
Again, even on we don't have a lot of up and down, like fourplexes that are 2 up, 2 down. But to come out with a nice porch to protect the stairs and things like that, again, I'm thinking from a liabilities perspective as an owner, I mean, I think it would give them that opportunity to do something like that.
Yeah. I think on most of those, the limiting factor is gonna be the 25%, depending on how wide they are.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll have to figure that out.
So we have.
Jared, let me have you get just a little closer.
Sorry,
to
we
your
do
mic.
have boundaries on it that are stated, so it's not gonna go crazy, but I like the idea of being able to do that.
So I think we've gotten the feedback on that, Mike. What else do you have for us?
I think that's it on this item. You
Okay,
can see just how I've changed, I added that as letter B, because this letter A is already talking about front encroachments, front yard encroachments, so, and then I just renumbered the following items, from B to C, E to D, so.
okay. Well, I don't see any public here besides the applicant, so I don't think there's any need to reopen the public hearing. If,
And I did talk to the applicant, Mr. Slade, he said you were okay with this change, it accommodated what you needed.
More than enough, yep.
okay. Is there any other questions? If there aren't any more questions, I'll call for a motion. And just a reminder to note the one correction, or the one change that we've recommended.
Okay, just residential,
Just, change it from single-family dwellings to residential dwellings
okay.
on B.
I move to recommend approval of ordinance amendment 2025-8-0 as, well, with the change of, from single-family dwellings to residential.
Okay. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Is this going to be Monday?
The next city council meeting is on July 7th, does that work for you guys? Okay,
On July 7th, it'll be presented to the city council. We appreciate staff for working hard and making an ordinance that we could vote on. So good luck with it, and we think we're going in the right direction.
I just want to say how much I appreciate you considering this. I really, really do.
Well, thank you. I think
Thank you.
from, like Commissioner Shower said, I think there's actually some beautification to the neighborhood that could come from this too, and we think it's a great idea.
I drove down that street today just to kind of get a visual, and it looks like many of the homes have, kind of their porches covered like that. That kind of protects the stairs from the elements.
There was a wintry day this last winter when a son and daughter-in-law were at my house, and just in the time that they were there, a storm had come through, and they stepped out the front steps, and had they not been holding on to something, they would have slipped right down and really been injured. I know that it won't completely take that danger away, but I really feel like it's only logical to do what we can to try to protect it and make it safer.
Yeah.
So I just really appreciate your considering that.
Perfect. Thank you. And we'll, like I said, we'll pass that on to the city council, who'll make the final decision. Okay, we'll move on to item 6. This item is also for an ordinance amendment, so it will require a public hearing. This is for a street reclassification update on our master plan update, is that what we're looking at? Yes. The applicant is Lindon City, and Mike Florence will present. As typical, we'll go through the presentation before we open up the public hearing.
All right, couple things. Our city engineers this is our future transportation map that calls out future roads and then their classifications, such as listed here below, you know, our freeways, our arterial streets, our collectors, our local streets. So our city engineers reviewed this map recently, and they would like to change the designation of those highlighted streets there from a collector street and then create, right now we just have arterials, and what they would like to create is two categories, is major arterial and minor arterial. The difference is minor arterial is your 66-foot wide road, and then anything above, which would be a minor, or would be a major arterial, anything above 66 feet, then that's typically a state-owned road, such as 700 North or State Street. So what they're proposing is to add those two classifications in our subdivision code under major arterial and minor arterial. So that would be one change, is for an ordinance amendment to add those two new designations. The second would be in our development manual, add the word minor arterial to this cross section, which would be the 66-foot road cross section. And then the third change would be to change these roads in the identified areas from collectors to minor arterials. Now, that does not increase the width of the roads. It doesn't increase the widening of the roads. It doesn't increase the speeds of the roads. Primarily what it does is we can go to if a road is an arterial, even if we call it a minor arterial, it allows us to go to MAG and get federal and state funding through them for these road improvements. And so, you know, for example, that Thornton connection, that, you know, the city could then go to MAG and request that funding for that connection, or 1200 East, the city could request MAG funding for that, or any of these roads that are identified as now identified as minor arterials. So those would be the three changes to the ordinance 17.32, the development manual cross section, and then amending the map so that it would now follow this one. You can see these yellow lines used to be collectors, they would now be minor arterials. So there really is not any much difference between a collector and a minor arterial other than the name. The road cross section is the same, the speed limit's the same, and so basically it's primarily for funding opportunities with Mountain Land Association of Governments.
So is 1200 East, would that be a major or minor? That's pretty wide.
They would all be minor.
Even, okay, isn't 1200 East really wide?
I believe it's 66 feet.
Oh, seems wider than that, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like our only majors are State Street, Geneva, and then 700 North, right?
Yes, the state-owned roads.
So, I guess also 600.
600, and future Vineyard Connector, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that was my understanding that this would help with the funding possibly to get that 400 East, 400 West and 400 North connection
Yep.
built.
Yeah, that's the primary purpose of this, is to have opportunities for funding.
My only other question is, kind of for Mike, there's not anybody from this area. How was this noticed, and or you know, are we making a street bigger seems like that there'd be people here, but I guess maybe they understood the minimum, that it doesn't do a lot, or,
So the way we,
I don't know that anybody was noticed, but I don't.
so the way we notice general plan amendments and ordinance amendments is through the state's website, through our city website, and then posting in the three buildings, the city center, the police department, or public safety building, and the community center. So we, you know, that would be really difficult to notice every single person along those roads.
We're not
Yeah.
reclassifying this is a matter of syntax, right? I mean,
Right.
it's-
We're not widening them.
We're
They're
not
the,
making roads bigger.
no.
we're not, but I just know making it sound bigger
Well-
typically would bring a response, but
Even, and especially in light of the 1200
Right.
East group, you know, yeah, I know what you're
But-
saying.
What about, 200 South? That's split. Is Orem, do they have the same designation? I mean, that road splits right on the city boundary.
I'm not sure what, Orem's
Probably wanna make
designation
sure
is
they're
on that.
Consistent, that one side of the streets.
And I believe that will become a UDOT road once it's finished being widened. No, sorry, I'm thinking 1600, sorry. I got that,
200
sorry.
South.
Yeah.
200 South is,
I'm not sure. I can look that up real quick and see what they have it as. Sorry, I got
we need to
those
make
two
sure it's
confused.
consistent. That one side of the road's one thing, one side of the road's the other. Another thing I
What's
noticed,
the road width of that road?
But is it already a UDOT road?
no, not
No.
200 South.
no, that goes from being a
Okay.
collector
thought it
to the
was
new
because
arterial,
they're
I mean, it switches there at State Street.
All the homes and all those
That's
things.
1,600.
1,600, yeah,
2,000.
but he was talking about 1,600.
Well, he might
Yeah,
mistake.
I messed up on that.
And I think that particular road, moving it from collector to an arterial, brings it more in line with the posted speed limit that's on that road. It's a 25-mile-an-hour roadway. And here it's indicating that collector streets shall be designed to at least 35 miles per hour, and that road's posted at 25. So by bringing this to an arterial, then it, you know, then it would allow that speed to come back more into compliance, I would think. Laws are different here than what I'm used to, but
400 west at 25 mile-an-hour street.
All of these currently are 25, correct?
Yeah, we're not planning to change any speed limits on that.
right.
UDOT does, or sorry, MAG doesn't care about the speed limit. They care about the designation, from what I understand.
And going from a collector, right, from a major collector to a minor arterial is what we're talking about, right?
Correct.
What is the possibility of speed limit on both those? Are they, the max the same? Or is there, that would be my only concern, is making it an arterial in the future. Could it go up to 35, whereas a collector, it could only go up to 25?
Yeah, I don't know that answer real quick. I could call our city engineer and
it's
ask him, but
It says here, collector streets currently,
Uh-huh.
collector streets shall be designed to at least 35. It's not, the vehicle code in Utah doesn't indicate that it has to be posted at 35.
No, but I'm
You
saying,
know,
but a collector currently could be up to 35, so we're not changing anything there either.
At least, but it's at most.
At least 35. So they're saying a collector shall be designed to at least 35 miles an hour.
So it could be,
Yeah,
that's
so,
worded weird.
I mean, so after reading through Utah's laws and this, if I got ticket on a collector that was designed to 35 and they gave me a ticket for doing 25, that would be an argument I could make. Whether it would fly or not is yet to be seen.
So,
Let's know how that works for you.
Don't try crying first.
I guess that would be my only concern for the residents, right? Is are we making the possibility of a future? But it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like currently it could be up to 35 anyway.
Yeah, and there's a lot
so
of-
we're not changing anything even in the,
And there's a lot of,
Future possibility.
there's other criteria that allow them to post it, that to downgrade it, i.e. Accident history, driveway profiles, that kind of stuff allows them to lower those speed limits as well.
You know, it's interesting that the 200 South does change once it crosses State Street, and we still have a common boundary with Orem, even in the yellow area down to basically the Aspen Elementary School. But,
Yeah, I guess the same thing.
but
is-
you know, it works leaving it. If the minor arterial, because we got a school zone there and whatnot, is more posted for 25 versus what's east of State Street, being able to go up to 35, am I understanding this correct?
I think,
So that's just in our general plan. That's not in our development manual. So the city engineers aren't gonna look at the general plan. That's just more of a designation. They're gonna go off of, you know, any studies that they do.
Yeah, you have to do a speed study anyway. Anything other than local road, they have to do a traffic survey, which takes into account all these factors.
and it looks like for both 200 South and then the 400 North, the 400 West, State Street's a transition from one type of road to the other.
Well, that's true. It does the same thing off of 400 North going to 400 West, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
So it does seem like that's the transition.
And I'm not seeing Orem's map, but they do call out an urban collector, which is 2 to 3 lanes, and a minor arterial, which is 2 to 3 lanes. So they have very similar designations. Actually, I may have just found it. Let's see. No, that's their existing. Let me see if I can find their future. There it was. Let's see. Is that 1200 North in Orem? Is that right?
No,
South,
1600 North
yeah, 1600 North.
So 1600 North in Orem?
is our 6,000, or 600 South.
Yeah,
But what's you were asking about, so they're calling out 1600 North?
Yeah, that's
As a
that's major arterial UDOT.
Arterial. They're calling out their 2000 North, our 200 South
Yeah.
as an urban collector, 2 to 3 lanes.
But we aren't designating any as urban collectors, though.
No,
No,
we're calling them arterials, minor and major arterials,
right.
because
Like we're kind of in line with them.
Yeah,
with the same
I
lane,
think
number of lanes, yes.
so, right.
And when they say 2 to 3 lanes, that third lane would be that center turn lane.
Well, to me, we're just reclassifying these for purposes of funding. I mean, as far as speed limits, I mean,
I think they'll change.
that can change, yeah.
Yeah, there's no plan to change the speed limits as far as I know.
No. So I don't see any problems with renaming the streets so we can get additional funding. Anyone else?
Any other questions for staff about the presentation? With that, we need to open a public hearing for this item. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and second. All in favor of opening the public hearing? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The public hearing is now open. Is there anybody here from the public who would like to address the commission regarding this matter? We have one person sitting in the
Anybody
audience.
online?
Is there anybody online that has any comments?
Can't make, I don't think
Public
they can make
comments,
comments on YouTube.
Okay. Seeing that there's no more public to make any comment, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Motion, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The public hearing is now closed. Are there any additional comments or discussion points that would need to be brought, that any of the commissioners would like to bring?
No.
If there are none, I would call for someone to make a motion.
I have a motion. I move to recommend approval of ordinance 2025-09-0. Is that 0 or O? Of the city's request to amend Title 17.32 of the Lindon City Code to include major and minor arterial streets, amend the Lindon City Master Plan map to include minor and major arterial street classifications, and designate such roadways on the street master plan map, and amend the city land development policies, standards, specifications, and drawings to include minor arterial streets to have the same roadway cross-section as collector and low commercial streets.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Go ahead. No, I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And I'm assuming this will move on to the city at the same time in July.
Yes.
We'll move on to item 7 on our agenda, which is our Community Development Director report and Commissioners' reports. So,
Yeah, so I made an offer to a new planner last week and she accepted, so she will start on July 21st. Her name is Brittany Alfua, I think. But I think she's changing her last name. But she will start on the 21st. She's got a lot of experience. She's coming from Mountain Land Association's equivalent, so she works for Bear River Association of Governments right now. And so she's got a master's degree, and so I won't be losing someone to go leave to do a master's degree. She already has one, so that will be nice. Yeah, lots of experience, a lot of talent, so I'm excited to have her start, so.
What brings her to this area? Do you know?
She wants a change. She said, you know, the Association of Governments who she works for is not the same. Her boss left, and she wants more of a planner. Right now, she helps all the different communities in that region, but she wants to be more on the ground level doing planner work, so. A couple items we'll probably see on the next our next planning commission meeting. This Lindon Care Center, it closed about a year ago.
Awful.
Yeah, so we've got a person that's bought it. He wants to subdivide the property and try and put 2 fast food restaurants there. And so I know he's got one potential tenant right now, and he's working on another one, so.
Tear the building down.
Tear the building down, yeah. So hopefully that comes through. I think there's some better uses for that right now.
Was that Jack in the Box this time? We were talking about Jack in the Box on the last one.
Yeah, they were looking at going here next to
Yeah.
Bank of Utah, but I think they've backed out for a while, so. Let's see, the other one, the Radmill property on Geneva Road, which is next to Pheasant Brook Park, this property where they shoot the fireworks off back here in the back. So that's being proposed to be 2 large office warehouse buildings. So they'll probably come before you next time for site plan approval.
Who is it? Is it Mark Weldon or?
No, I haven't worked with this company before, so nice buildings though, really nice landscaping. And I think,
I'll clean that up.
yeah. And then in 2 meetings, there's a cell tower that'll come before you guys if the council, it's gotta go to the council first, because the way our cell tower ordinance is written, they have to go on public property like city or school district property first. And if they wanna go someplace else, then they have to get the council's approval. And then, so then if the council approves it, then it'll come before you for a conditional use permit, so.
Where are they proposing it?
Down right off I-15,
Oh, good.
and this one is, so our ordinance requires that they be a stealth design unless they can prove by engineering or technologically why it isn't feasible, then it has to be a stealth design, so.
A plastic pine tree?
So they have a nice, very nice looking water tower that they're looking at, and it's right over, it's on this property here. This, oh, that's not showing up, sorry,
Next to you, it's gonna give you some better cell service.
I'll take it.
right there,
It's so bad.
so,
That surprises me.
Yeah, it's so bad, especially right as you're trying to get on the freeway.
it's awful.
It's terrible, yeah. Yeah, I'm excited about that.
I don't know which company it is yet, but
We'll find out and I'll.
A lot of
switch.
times they piggyback on each other. One
Yeah.
person puts up the tower and everybody pays to be a part of it.
so those are the items I had this evening. Do you have any questions for me or anything you'd like to?
And our meeting, the next meeting will be on the 8th,
Yes, it'll be on July 8th,
and I won't be here.
I will not be here either.
okay?
When is it?
July 8th,
See if you did it.
that's your surgery too,
That's
yeah.
Okay,
3 of us.
so then,
So if we did it the 22nd, then the new
will you
planner
be here? I'll be here. Will you be here, Mike?
And then we have the alternate.
Yeah, but there was a bunch of them that were gonna be gone on the 22nd.
The 22nd, I'll be gone, and
Who else will be gone on the
With the-
22nd?
that's the 24th weekend, or week of the
Who else will
24th.
be gone?
I'll be here.
I'll be here.
I think we decided last week. Bill,
Yeah.
You weren't here.
Fine.
We weren't, we weren't here, and Karen wasn't here, and
I have, if we could have a quorum on the 8th,
We do.
because I've already been telling people that,
Yeah.
that would be the next
Okay.
meeting, because that's what we talked about at the last
okay. Yeah.
planning commission
So
meeting.
currently, I think we have Commissioner Thompson, Commissioner Danielson, myself, and Marchbanks, and then I believe Commissioner Doan said that
I
he could
think
be
he
here
did too.
also. That would give us 5
That's on the 8th,
on the 8th.
yeah. And the 24th, or the
22nd,
22nd should be okay.
We'll just do the
No, we
8th,
weren't gonna do it on
just
We're not gonna
one,
do, we only have one in June.
we only do
July.
one in July and August.
and then the one in August is currently scheduled for the, need to verify,
The 12th?
the 12th. Okay. I might not be here that one, but we'll see.
Okay.
I think there's a
Anything
volleyball
else?
tournament.
I'll be here.
I have, oh, go right ahead,
No,
Kathy.
that's okay.
can
July
move the-
11th is our city party,
It's you.
Yeah, I saw that today.
yeah.
So, yeah, July 11th, there'll be a pool party, so,
On when?
July 11th.
Yes.
And I'll be gone for that day too, so,
Where are you going?
Lay pool parties.
out of town.
Oh, you're not telling?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I have a question.
Okay,
I saw a resolution, a draft of a resolution to terminate the operation of the Provo bench in North Union Canals. Do you know anything about that? That Lindon is taking their water from the Murdoch. I guess the concern I have is,
Was that, whose resolution? Was that a city resolution or?
no, it was, well, it involves the city, but it's heavily, but it was made by the Water Conservancy District.
Okay,
But if they abandon the canals, it seems like that would lower the value of those water shares. Now, I called them and they said, oh, no, that won't. I don't know how that works, why it wouldn't, if you've got I mean, Lindon and Provo would no longer,
Oh,
or
you're-
Orem would no longer be.
Of which,
needing water.
which shares though? The North Union shares? Because what we've done is we've moved our capacity to the North Union Canal. Or what's that? Murdoch Canal, sorry.
Murdoch Canal. Right.
Yes,
And that's why they're closing the North Union,
yes, and so,
abandoning it.
yeah, so there's, yeah, North Union shares, as far as I know, will not change, because those are now within the
My
Murdoch Canal.
question is, if you owned a North Union share and they're abandoning that canal, why would your share not devalue?
Because the water still is a perfected share.
Yeah.
Regardless where it's taken
Yeah.
from.
Are you thinking that maybe somebody's still flood irrigating off the canal and then they,
Well, you obviously can't draw from it if there's no water in it,
yeah,
but if you have a share in it, I mean, you know,
I mean, I can tell you, we do quarterly, we reach out quarterly to different water brokers and stuff to figure out what a share of North Union has gone for, and it went up another $500 in the last 3 months, so.
okay.
So what I'd recommend, I can have Juan get in contact with you.
Yeah,
He would,
isn't he the president of the
I don't know which,
ditch
sorry.
canal? I think
He is in one of them, but I'm not sure.
I-
I can have Juan get in contact with you and,
Okay.
okay.
I think he is over North Union.
All right, thank you.
I had one question. Is that okay?
Yep.
I just drove by, well, it was the Brian Davis property, but the home that was, people were in here to develop. Is that still going forward?
You know, I have not, I'm sure it is, but I haven't heard from him for probably 2 months.
Okay, because, gosh, it's really grown up into weeds and dryness and almost looks like a fire hazard back in there.
Yeah.
I
I'll
just
reach out
wondered
to-
if they're continuing to,
I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't. They've put so much money into
oh, yeah.
putting civil plans together and purchasing the other property off, I can't remember what street that is, but
Right. It just looks very overgrown with everything right now.
Yeah.
I wondered.
yeah, I'm not sure where we're at. I'll find out though.
Okay,
I thought it was.
yeah.
Oh, I did have one more question for you, if that's okay, if I take a few more minutes. I've had a number of people call me, real estate agents, like, I've been bombarded by 2 or 3 different real estate agents. So you've got the 600 north here, this PG interchange, 2800 west. So this building here says Alice Lane. Alice Lane has moved out of that warehouse. It's zoned mixed commercial, and maybe I should pull up the parcel map as well. Or sorry, the zoning map. Come on. Keyboard's not working. Why is the keyboard not working? Okay, so that property is zoned mixed commercial right here. And you can see mixed commercial is, you know, it's a bunch of those, it's all those properties right there. All these, you know, kind of pink colored. You also have mixed commercial over here behind 700 North. Mixed commercial over on Geneva and about 600 North here. So basically, I've had these real estate agents reach out to me because Tesla wants to put a collision center in right here at where Alice Lane is. And we don't allow auto body or collision centers in Lindon. The ones that we have are allowed, but we don't allow any additional. So they have asked, they're kind of inquiring, and they wanted me to ask you guys kind of your feelings if they made an application, if that's something you would consider. And I have some hesitations because these are very nice business park areas, but they were asking, well, what if everything is indoors? And, what if, there's no outdoor storage, everything, if it could be that a car is just there to be serviced or something, because they'll do some servicing too. There might be an outdoor car, but what if, any wrecked cars would be stored inside the building? I don't know how you'd feel about that at all, or,
What about the tax implication? Would that be a revenue generating source at that point? Are people coming to pay to have their car fixed and it's in Lindon, so they're gonna pay?
Sales tax would be collected.
yeah, I think you would. Is that more, I can't remember if we collect sales tax off of that or not, or if that's more of a service.
I don't know,
I don't remember if we collect sales tax off auto body work.
I mean,
My biggest concern is making sure these places look, stay nice. These are nice business parks. And I'm not asking you to vote on something. I'm just saying, is that something, do we want to entertain if they made an application?
I wouldn't be opposed if it looked nice, based on what it comes to us looking at, if it is all indoors, something like that.
Well, Tesla might look nice, but then in the future, it might be something a little bit junky. But have we turned some down in the last?
Oh, I
few
turn them
years?
down all the time.
Then I'm not sure why I'm pretty open. You guys know I'm pretty open, but I don't know why we would entertain that application then if we've turned others down, especially recently.
And if we're not allowing anymore, then
I mean, most auto body businesses go into a light industrial zone or a heavy industrial zone. When I was in South Salt Lake on West Temple, we did write up an ordinance. This guy, all he did was muscle cars and body work on muscle cars. And so he had a huge building and he was able to do everything indoors. So that's how we wrote the ordinance, that it had to be a standalone building because we didn't want, fumes going into another tenant space. It was more, everything had to be indoors, and stuff like that, so.
I'm just saying, if you accept this one, then how do you reject future ones?
You couldn't unless they meet those standards of everything is indoors, so.
I would be hesitant just because you've turned down a lot of other applicants already.
Yeah, I mean, last week we had someone call us about trying to go in one of Mark Weldon's buildings and they were gonna do some body work on boats. And, that zoning doesn't allow, they do servicing and some minor body work, but we told them no, you could do the servicing, but not the body work.
I kind of feel like if you've held to that standard to this point.
Like, are we willing to consider because it has the name Tesla on it? Is that,
No.
I know you're not willing to consider, but I mean, is that what they think maybe?
They tried to hit me up with that first, saying, hey, we're bringing a Tesla to your, community, but it's a Tesla collision, so.
On one hand, I kind of, if it's 100% inside the warehouse, I've been in some warehouses in American Fork. They're in a real high-class warehouse district. And one of them down there, used to be a guy, Sharon might know him, that lived in Lindon. I think he was in a stake presidency up here. He owns a company called Power Innovations.
What's his name?
I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But he took me on a tour in a building a few years ago down there where, they're bringing not just, they retrofit razors for the federal government and stuff where they basically power them with fuel cells. I mean, they look like a Polaris Ranger or Razor, but they're fuel cell driven or electric. They do both, battery and, but then they bring in the fuselage of a Boeing that they're retrofitting for stuff that's top secret and whatnot. I mean, you would never know this kind of stuff was going on in there. In fact, they had to get us clearance to be able to even go in and see. I'll think of the guy's name and let you know, because I think he was in your stake presidency a few years ago.
I think.
But, I mean, you wouldn't even know this kind of stuff was going on down there. I mean, serious stuff.
Yeah.
I understand the concern, and I have the same concern. If it was attached to a Tesla dealership, would that be different?
Yeah, it would, probably.
Yeah, I don't know if the dealerships do that much auto body. I don't think they do.
Well, a lot of
Some
them
do
do.
have a
Yeah.
building on site where they do their auto body.
Tesla always has wrecked cars in their parking lot, so I'm guessing they do there. The one in PG.
Oh, do they?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. If that helps.
I think a lot of it, in my mind, has to do with maybe location. West of the freeway, I'm like Jared, I have the same concern, but I have less of a concern if it's all indoors.
If it's 100% indoors, I don't know. But if it opens a Pandora's box
That's
for
what I'm
things we,
concerned
yeah.
about, yeah.
One of the things I guess we need to look at is what are the alternatives there? Is that gonna sit vacant for a long time?
I mean, the Alice Lane just left. My brother-in-law's the warehouse manager, so they left like 2 months ago. So they're just actively shopping it and see what they can get there.
Well, the Vineyard Connector's coming in as well, so that is something to take into consideration with that, right?
Yeah.
In theory,
And I think they like the proximity because it's just
close to the freeway.
right across the freeway from the Tesla dealership.
And that is an area where we struggle because of the odor as well.
Yes.
That
We don't have-
may make it less attractive to
Yeah.
other people to go in there for something other than a body shop.
I realize we don't have the problem in my neighborhood anymore, but when I was at my son's band concert over there in the Tesla area, the smell came in, I was like, oh, yeah, it's still bad. It's an issue.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. There's no commitment. I just,
Feelings, yeah.
yeah,
I think
I'll
we
just
have
tell them
mixed
there's mixed feelings about it and they can take it from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're more open if there's, the more airtight they could make it, that it's
Yeah.
inside. And, you know, if there's some way of writing the ordinance where it was that way, you know,
And
no
my
vehicles
thoughts are, if
outside,
you
those
turn
types of
others down
things.
Before you ought to stick to that standard.
Yeah, I mean, we do change ordinances and, but,
A lot of the auto body is starting to be done in fully enclosed,
High tech, yeah.
buildings. I got some friends that are building Cascade Collision buildings all over the country, and they're putting them right in retail zones and everything else, because it's,
yeah.
you wouldn't know it was a collision place with, other than the sign, the signage on the building. It's all 100% indoors.
Yeah, I think there's a Cascade on State Street in Orem.
Yeah, it's a
I believe.
retrofit one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you think of like Martin's in Orem too, that's pretty well.
Yep.
You don't see a lot of cars outside of that.
So you're talking about even storing the cars
Yeah.
inside?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mike, wasn't there, isn't UDOT planning a frontage road south of that road, or is that frontage road going north of that road as well? Up into the area we're talking?
Yeah, it would go south of that.
Just south,
So,
not north.
Yeah, this property is right here, sorry,
Okay.
right there. It would be south of that.
But then if the ordinance is changed, then does that allow other dealerships to also
It
apply
would,
for?
it would allow anybody in the mixed commercial zone if you, that's where you
also
put it.
apply for
Yeah, so that's, that,
that type
But
of,
they would have to do it,
Fully enclosed,
Fully
whatever we did, but,
no extra storage or
yeah.
anything. Whatever we specify.
Mm-hmm.
okay. Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Anything else from any of the commissioners? If not, I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor to adjourn? Aye. Any opposed? The meeting is adjourned.
What are the dates again for Lindon Days? July